Wise.
You know, first I'd like to say that unlike a lot of cases where a jury comes back with not guilty on one and guilty on another charge, you can decipher from that some idea of what the jury had in mind the conduct was. Difficult in this case, to say the least. Having said that, I do believe that had a lot of the allegations that the state put out that he did, alleged that he did in Charlotte, had the jury truly believed that, we would be looking at a serious 10-year offense. That's the only conclusion I can make from it, to be frank with you. So I think it's fair to say that's not what they found him factually guilty of. I want to take exception to what Solicitor Brackett said. I met Will Lewis for the first time in my life December last year when he came in my office about representing. He had been a police officer in Greenwood. I didn't know when he was a police officer in Greenwood. I think it's probably a credit to the cases he made that nobody ever came and hired him. And I met him, and I enjoyed talking to him, enjoyed meeting him. And then I started listening to those tapes after I got into the discovery. And I told Will, and I told his wife this: I am glad that I didn't meet the Will Lewis that was in those tapes, because I don't know if I'd have represented him. That is not the Will Lewis I met. I told his wife, and she actually confirms this, I wanted to give back to her when this is over the Will Lewis she married, and not the one that got elected sheriff. My parents used to have a saying that when I was growing up, somebody gets too big for the britches. So I think that's a good description of what happened here. I would like to point out two things of the description of what Solicitor Brackett said. First, yes, you have a lot of first offenders come before you in general sessions court for stealing, for drug offenses, for burglars, whatever, and we give them leniency. But in none of those cases did the mere plea or their action, in most cases, cause them to lose a substantial job. It doesn't happen in those cases. This has caused him to lose his job. Now, we also talk about send a message. We need to send a message. This conviction after a jury trial, to me, better than even a guilty plea, sends a message to every elected official in this state who falls under that statute that their conduct while in office truly must be like Caesar's wife, above reproach. And, no ifs, ands, and buts about it. And I think that's a very, very clear message that has been sent here in this case. So yes, a message has been sent before any sentence has been imposed, because every one of those elected officials, if they don't live their lives now after this case, like Caesar's wife, stand to lose their position, which is a substantial punishment. Also in this case, Sean, it is not a case where a police officer, what I would call, truly corrupted the office in this sense. Never was there an allegation that he in any way thwarted the investigation of serious crime. It's not like some officers who take a bribe and look the other way for crime and abuse their office that way. That individual truly abuses the power of his office in a manner that is deserving of all condemnation. Mr. Lewis is failing here, and he never denied it on the stand. He's never denied it since the press conference. He had an affair with the subordinate. No justification for it, no excuse for it, and not going to make an excuse for it. I've told him that from the very beginning, that I could and I represent him if he wanted me to make an excuse for that. Because we're gonna have to, that's a fact that you've got to live with. So, and they talk about money being involved. They're really, and truly, I don't see where there's real monetary loss to the county in this case. In the sense that his actions, in the sense that the investigation and the audits after it came to light, yes, that's true. But in the sense of what the actual criminal allegations are, I really don't see the financial loss to the county. Yesterday after we left court, we were basically asking whether we were going to drive back to Greenwood, and I told him I didn't know, and he said, use an extra bedroom. So I went by his house and spent the night last night. It was probably a mistake in this sense. We stayed up way too late talking about this case, about him, and so forth. How does a graduate of Liberty University end up standing before his honor? How does that happen? And we were talking, and he said that, you know, he had a good factual knowledge of religion and conceptually knew about religion that he would compare with anybody. And then he made what I consider the profound comment of basically, though he's not sure he had the belief of that religion, or at least it left him when he got into this trouble. And that's something to be said for that. He has led a life of exemplary conduct, to be frank with you, except for about 5 months out of his life. And that's, to me, shocking that he can do that. He doesn't have little petty records of public drunk or driving under influence, stuff like that would not prevent him from running for office. He doesn't have anything. The day the story broke with the suit is probably the highest moment in his career and the lowest moment in his personal life. Because the day it broke was the day that he met President Trump at the Greenville-Spartanburg Airport, dressed in the formal sheriff's uniform. His wife was home looking at the internet, finding the complaint with the tapes. And she listened to all those tapes before he got home. He gets home and she confronts him. And he doesn't deny it. They literally spend the entire evening sitting in their home talking about this situation. To go from that mountain to that pit is pretty dramatic in less than 24 hours. I have told Will that if he were found not guilty on this, I think he would have been a better sheriff than he would have been had it never come to light. Because it really did, I think it did a lot to him. I think we can talk about that in a minute too. I think he really learned a lot from it. But the other thing I learned last night, John, in a sense, even though he's standing here before his honor to be sentenced, he is fortunate beyond belief in this sense. All his children were home last night when we got there and we were talking, and they were coming around. And the one thing that you see in that family unit is the forgiveness of his wife and his children for his actions. Forgiveness that easily one could argue he doesn't deserve. Easily. But they did. And they remained together as a family. And it is years ago, if her husband had an affair, would she be beside him? The answer would have been no. I mean, objectively, no. But when it actually came to pass, and she had to make the decision, and she'll tell you why, it didn't happen, and she stuck by it. I don't know where his head was for those few months in 2017, and I wish I could, and I tried to figure it out last night, and when we had some conversations that I don't know if he could have answered, to be frank with you. But his life is not to be governed by those 5 or 6 months. We're not as bad as the worst thing we've ever done, and we're not as good as the best thing we've ever done. And when we judge someone, I think we have to judge the product as a whole, not just in a few months. From my conversations with him, he well understands how his actions put him in this situation, and that he is the only one to blame for it. He can't blame Savannah. He can't blame anything else. It was his decision, and it was a poor decision, to say the least. I disagree with the solicitor that he needs to be sentenced to a year in jail. I disagree because, as I said earlier, a message has been sent to all elected officials that's more powerful than a jail sentence. Because if you are not above reproach, you're going to lose your job. And that's a more powerful message than a jail sentence. Secondly, there are, of course, some safety concerns if you go to prison. And I think that's a factor that should be considered. He has the capability, and things that we did discuss last night, not necessarily in terms of community service, but in terms of things he should be doing regardless of what the court does to him. He has a church he goes to that ministers to prisoners at Harry Correctional. I have encouraged him to get in that regardless of what the court does, because I think he would have a great rapport with some inmates who could see a sheriff that's fallen through his own bad judgment, and it can be a very influence with him. But I do not see where society gets any additional benefit from this conviction by incarceration than they've already gotten from the conviction. That message is sent statewide, no question about it. His wife has suggested that, if the court sees fit, you could do house arrest even, 6 months or so, to have some sort of punishment on it where you couldn't go anywhere. But I think a sentence of probation with community service, and substantial community service, not just, the few hours the judge gives on a lot of drug cases. I'm talking about substantial hundreds of hours. I would also point out that, as far as I know, this is the only misconduct by a public official case that's ever gone to trial. I don't know of another. Going out there, I hadn't found it. Rick Quinn pled a year or so ago the statutory violation. He was given a year of probation and community service. I don't know of anybody who has been sentenced to an active incarceration on this particular offense. And while the solicitor's correct, you don't get a second, very seldom. You won't see a second offense for this. I understand that.
Jim Harrison before.
Excuse me?
Jim Harrison, I believe.
Right, Jim Harrison to get you on trial, that's correct. I forgot about that, that was on appeal, and he got convicted of both misconduct in office and the statutory violation. That's correct. I think the Corson pled to the, I think that, can't remember which one he pled to, but he was charged with both originally at one time. So, I don't see what society gets out of putting him in an incarceration situation that they haven't already gotten through this conviction. The wife would like to address the court also.